Welcome to the Gray Cook Gym. Got a lot of wood to split, got a bag over there to punch, bunch of boards to hang off of, and a bunch of boards to carry. I design facilities, but when I design a gym for me, it's designed around activities that need to be done anyway, so I don't even have to go to the gym. But right now, I'm also working on my posture, and I think when we talk about patterns, the one thing we forget about is posture. Every time I transition, I'm in a pattern, and every time I stop, I'm in a posture. A transition or a pattern is your prime movers overcoming the ability not to stay still and creating movement. But posture is the opposite, the yin-yang, the ability to resist movement. Right now, this pack wants me to go backward. I'm not carrying it like a backpack. I'm carrying it like they say to at Go Ruck, which is sort of high and tight. And it comes from a military background where you have a lot of other stuff on your waist, so your pack is high. It's different than backpacking because you're going for a long time, carrying as much as you can. You share that weight on your waist when you can. But if you're truly trying to carry something and make it a self-limiting exercise, I think it's very important to realize, why am I doing this? Am I doing this for cardio or strength? Both are going to get better. How's it going to change my shape? Well, it's not going to make your muscles big and puffy. It's going to make you stand with postural integrity under control. It's going to increase your motor awareness by making you top heavy. The same way Mother Nature made you as you were growing and developing with this great big old bobblehead, because unless you got your pelvis right under that big old baby head, you didn't really find your center. And if you don't find your center, you can't climb the ladder of function, from rolling to crawling to creeping to kneeling to squatting to standing to stepping. Once we get to stepping and running, that becomes the focus. And do you know how many biomechanics lab will watch you run on a treadmill and never once look at your posture? Or test your ankle mobility or run a movement screen, because they're just going to try to coach you into a better foot strike and a better movement pattern. And they're never going to look at your posture in a 50-50 democracy. Where in the movement screen do you see a posture test? You don't. You see a bunch of mobility bias, because every time I know you got a mobility problem, you've got another reason not to be aware that you're altering your posture, not just to fit the efficiency of the activity and the environment. You're altering your posture because that ankle is 22% tighter than that ankle. Your T-spine rotates fine this way, but when you go to look the other way, not so much. What I want to do is stop walking right now and show you the biggest mistake people make when they get enthusiastic about a new opportunity to improve their posture with a backpack or a weight to carry. Right now, I'm standing slightly uphill. This is a different experience than when I stand slightly downhill. But since I'm facing uphill and since I'm on a single slope, I'm just sort of going to stand up straight right here, and I'm going to 50-50 my weight. Wow, it was about 60-40, but okay, I gotta consciously be on my right foot a little bit more. But now as I turn, I'm on my right foot too much, so I'm gonna march in place 50-50 again, cycle a breath, and I'm gonna turn on an inhale, not an exhale. Because I don't wanna know how far I can turn when I can't breathe. I wanna know how far I can turn and still breathe. How many times do we alter our posture for the way we breathe, for the way our neck position and tight shoulders want to exist? So I'm gonna go, that's about my comfortable limit. I can easily force through it, but I don't own that movement and I don't use that movement. The movement I just showed you is probably what's getting processed in my function today. That was way easier, okay? So 50-50 my weight, over breathe. A little more integrity. I don't know if in-breathing a little bit quicker helps me reflexively engage my core or override an inhibitory reflex that I've just gotten used to stopping. But there was no drag in there when I went further. Nothing bit me. I didn't go into a cramp. If I did, I'd probably have a structural problem, and I should get that checked out. But all I did was compare good side to bad side, overbreathe the situation, thus what? Elongating the canister. When I add air into this canister, it gets upright. This right here is pushing me down. These right here need to be a stable base. If you're not outside in the woods like me, you can march in place and figure this out. And if you're trying to warm up and decide if you're going to ruck today or not, if these aren't comfortable, carrying this thing 2 miles isn't going to be. The reverse of this is also true. What do I mean by that? Does anybody ever think to take these packs off and put them around on the front? Because they totally change your perspective, and both are good for you. One is going to actually feed your mistake. It's going to push you a little further in the direction that you shouldn't be going. But it's going to take something like a subconscious mistake and almost make it conscious. That's the way we talk in SFMA. When people are so broken, we got to put their movement back on track. We don't feel our postural problems until they get to the point of pain or fatigue. But we make postural mistakes every day just like we make movement mistakes. And if you have a mobility problem, as I said back in the movement screen, I will never assume that I should be coaching or compressing your posture too much if that mobility problem could be significantly different in a matter of a week or two. So there's a cautionary tale here. I'm very enthusiastic about people doing carries because I think it meets that criteria of most people have to schedule a workout. I do, but I don't have to schedule an activity. I'm on my feet all day. I have to walk the dog because there's other stuff going on in my house that I can't handle. She's better with homework than I am. I'm better at walking a dog, but I can ruck while I do that. When we're carrying something, it's really easy to try to throw these on and go. But if I'm already not able to cover an adequate distance walking, or if walking bothers me, there's a lot I can do to prepare for this. So some of you might be ready for this in the spring. Some of you might want this challenge now. But if you're using this to become self-aware and find out which one of your body parts is lit up first if you take a walk with a ruck pack, there's a lot you can do with and without equipment on and off your feet to actually make this on-ramp better. And one of the things that I think FMS has always tried to do is not be a roadmap to movement. It's actually a GPS to movement because we're all going for the same destination. We want to look and feel good. We want to function well and do it for a long friggin' time. Problem is, this GPS also shows you which on-ramp you need to get on, because even though we're going to the same place, the on-ramp to rucking 30 pounds on your back high and tight might be 2 months away. Why wouldn't you go on the journey to underpin the integrity that'll make that first carry a little fatiguing, but largely comfortable? Meaning, by the very next day, you actually feel that the carry was a benefit. The next day, if you're really, really sore, you could have probably prevented that by picking a different on-ramp to your activity. How many times do we not do that in youth sports, right? We try to make an athlete on somebody who's largely unfit. What do I mean by unfit? Can't do push-ups, can't do pull-ups, can't do jump rope. That's what I mean. We try to create an athletic skill base without a general athletic base. What do we do as adults? We want to know exercises for posture. Posture is not something you do 30 minutes a day. Posture is something you do as long as you're not sleeping. You're holding yourself up. If you really want to check posture, scrub the mobility problems off the body as best you can. Over in the FCS, we have motor control test for the legs and arms. And most of what I'm going to show you is going to fix that too. But we also have a carry test. When we look at independent mobility and motor control of this leg or this leg, my balance, if you will, my planking strength, if you will, we've covered the 4 knots of the body, places we can really get out of sorts. Still haven't covered the core until you compress it. So many people have made the core a six-pack discussion. Everybody in athletic conditioning knows that's the core, the powerhouse, the lever system. But if we take it one step further, can we all learn by carrying a little bit more? We carry a lot of stuff we shouldn't have to carry, both in our mind and body. And I think carrying stuff with integrity and finding your on-ramp to do this helps you complete sort of a journey, because FMS was never just a movement pattern company. It's the best posture to cover that movement. And think about that. As you learn the movement screen, aren't you looking for the shapes at the end of the suggestion? I want to see what your lunge looks like at the top and in the bottom. If you're wobbly in the middle, I get to see that. But if you can't even achieve a good posture at the bottom, we were the company that said use chops and lifts to fix that. That's a postural exercise, not an arm exercise. So what I want to do is sort of stimulate the way that you're thinking when you try to suggest this for somebody else or embrace this yourself. I know a lot of people who learned a Turkish get up on a Thursday and taught it to a client or a patient on a Friday. I don't like that kind of thing. I've never done that with my audience. I've always got about 2 months in anything right here and right here before I ever try to become a teacher of the thing. And then if there's a better teacher of the thing, I try to conveniently meet them. If you're noticing that you have a tendency always to be on one side, or you're noticing you have a tendency to be limited in one of your turns, you've got some options to get off your feet. The first one I want to do is, if you were standing on equal weight and you had a different turn left and right, see if that turn remains the same even in this position. I'm way more symmetrical in my T-spine mobility right here than I am up there. Probably has a lot more to do with the lower body weight shift than the available T-spine I've got. Brett Jones also noticed a long time ago, I'm a better kettlebell presser in this position than I am standing up. I got something lazy probably in the way I hold my pelvis and the way I balance, or maybe some weakness in my feet that I can easily handle when I've got a base like this. I can also check for left-right differences in my base simply by bringing my leg up and making a perpendicular angle between my lower leg and the heel of my other leg. I can use this pack now to sort of be right in the center of me. And I can bias my ankle, or I can step all the way off the pad and I'm gonna get a groin stretch way before the ankle. Now you've seen us do this stuff with stuff in our hands, but a lot of people won't be here long enough to develop good trunk posture because they'll have an arm weakness thing. We can work on that in other ways. But why would you work on your arm strength without developing the base? Why would you want the tree to grow taller without roots? So I get to go back and forth and not just get in these positions, but look at the integrity and how quick I gotta go in transition. Once again, this can also be done in reverse. What if I brought this around to the front? I would have to shift my weight. But my number one thing is upright, explore the ankle, explore the groin. Does it feel the same? And if I've got that base good, back into rotations again. Always gonna be easier on the up leg side, but should be symmetrical between the sides. Now, I already know enough to know before I go walking like I just did for you, this is the routine I warm up with, and this is the way I try to get back up. And I'll also do just a few movements with the legs, few weight shifts just to get ready for the day and carry this. Don't be ambitious, don't set records. I'd rather you explore carrying than do carrying. You're 2 months away from doing carrying any justice at all. You can get under the weight with postural integrity, under control. That's posture. It's 50% of movement and it largely goes untrained. And when you try to exercise it like patterns, it doesn't work and it doesn't stick. This does because you got to carry it. Before we start getting heavier and heavier and heavier with load, because that's our tendency, the next best way to stress your posture is with movement. What movement pattern stresses the posture more than the overhead deep squat? Got a couple of things that's gonna make it easier for you, believe it or not. A front-loaded weight is gonna help so much. We're gonna let you use your natural tendencies to over-quad the squat and enjoy your stiff ankles as we take them away. If you need to stabilize the pack, you can do this. You don't have to go overhead right away, but with your hands free and not loaded, you can really sort of explore the pattern. What I'm really trying to do with the central part of the weight of my backpack is get that weight between my heels. Now, we're all built a little bit differently, but you can almost come to a rest position if you have enough hill. The problem is people don't take the hill away. If I'm gonna go up in weight, I should go less in hill, right? If I don't have full range of motion, I shouldn't even try the pattern yet. But I can sort of hold this posture a little bit and I can get out of this posture. So if you've been rucking for 10 minutes, half kneeling, tall kneeling, if that's all good, your turns are good, try a few squats. Now you're basically frictioning posture and pattern together. That's what movement is. If you like what we just did with some carries and some movement and some postural integrity under control, follow the link. It's going to be the same functional journey, just different a little bit.